Rick, Amy, thank you very much. We're joined by Senator Rand Paul, who just, of course, spoke at the convention. How did it feel up there?
It's really exciting. You know, I've given a lot of speeches, but it's a big crowd and they're very boisterous, and it's hard to get your speech done because there's a lot of applause, which is a good problem to have, I guess.
Now, there's a lot of very loud Ron Paul supporters in this hall. What is your sense, honestly, how many of them are enthusiastic about Mitt Romney?
Well, I think it's a good thing that they're in the hall. They've come, they've participated. Many of the states, even the state party chairman now is a Ron Paul person. So I think that's good. I think they're being integrated into the party. The video they did in tribute to my dad was a really heartwarming and I think a really well-done video and a very nice thing for them to do.
There was obviously some bitterness or anger earlier this week when there was a dust-up over the rules. A lot of the Ron Paul supporters here thought that there was kind of a power grab by the Mitt Romney people. Do you see lingering bitterness from that? I still hear people complaining from time to time on the floor.
Not really. And when I tell people, I spoke to the Iowa delegation this morning, I tell them politics is messy and you don't win every time. In many ways, we got a lot of delegates with rarely getting a lot of votes. So I feel like we got represented very well. Our people worked very hard. We got a voice on the platform committee, and they did get to vote for their hero, Ron Paul. And it isn't always everything people want, but I tell the people you have more influence in the party than outside the party.
Okay, so what next for the Paul forces?
We'll see. We're hoping to help Governor Romney get elected, and we think the election's very important.
What about you? I mean, you were quite candid with me during the primaries. I imagine that.
That was somebody else. Couldn't have been me.
About your future. I mean, you see yourself as a presidential candidate 8 years down the road?
Oh, I think you're misquoting me now. No, I mean, I do see myself as part of the national debate. I don't know what that means. Being in the Senate is part of the national debate. That may be all. If that's all I do, I'm really pleased to have been able to do it. But there may be more. I don't know. I mean, we'll see what the future brings.
What is your father's advice on that score?
Well, when I called him up to ask him about running for the Senate, he was like, are you sure? He understands the give and take of family, what the times you sometimes miss, but also the times you miss from your profession. We're both physicians. I do miss doing surgery. I still do some charity surgery around Kentucky, but I don't get to do it as often as I'd like.
The one thing I noticed was not really present in that video was a real theme, a major theme of your father's campaign, which was his opposition to the wars. Right. And there was a lot of talk about reducing spending and getting spending under control, and it's a message of his forever. But why no mention of his strong opposition to the war?
I think the video was actually done by his video production company, so a lot of the editing was done by his people, so I don't think it was intentional. And I really do, you think about it, did any other losing Republican presidential candidate get a tribute video? Right. I don't know that they did, so I think it was a special honor for the 30 years he's had in public service, and I think he will have a lasting influence. I also tell Republicans, we're not winning in California and we're not winning in New England. Maybe we ought to consider a Ron Paul type of Republican running in those places.
Or maybe a Rand Paul type of Republican.
Who knows? Who knows? We'll see.
But you had a message up there where you referred to Republicans need to understand that not all defense spending is good spending. Is that message getting through? I
think so, but the interesting thing is it's picking up on both sides of the aisle. Senator Tom Coburn, who's a conservative Republican, has introduced Audit the Pentagon. I'm co-sponsoring it. We have 3 or 4 Democrats, but I think we've got 3 or 4 Republicans. So even Republicans do acknowledge it. I don't think people feel that that's too harsh to hear, but they do need to hear it because the rumblings are out there. Oh, we're going to have some military sequester cuts. And I'm like, I'm not voting to get rid of them unless you replace them with real cuts. We're not going to play this game of we're going to get rid of the cuts in 1 year and replace them with 10 years of cuts, make-believe cuts somewhere else. So I will play hardcore with this, and it's a message that has to be heard, and it's part of the ultimate compromise. The ultimate compromise needs to be Republicans have to slay their sacred cows, so do the Democrats. That's the only way we're going to ever balance the budget.
Okay, last question, and we'll let you go. Are you going to be out there campaigning for Mitt Romney?
Yes, they've asked me to go places, and I'm happy to, and we're just working on times and places.
All right, Senator Rand Paul, always great to talk to you. Thanks a lot for taking the time. Congrats on the speech.